This is Row Talk. In this episode, I talk to Kiefer McBride about his new bookshelf. He tells me how he put it together. We talk about music by the Black Keys, Thundercat, and Sturgill Simpson. How is the download experience different than holding a vinyl record with two hands? To end the episode, we discuss war, savagery in humans, democracies, and giving back to our communities. Okay, so you built a bookshelf.
Yeah. I'll show it again.
Okay. Okay, so I see, like you said, it's a bunch of pine boxes screwed together, and you have
sorry.
you have components, or sorry, like compartments for books, and then also compartments for putting stuff like plants, or maybe like throw your wallet on there at night, stuff like that.
Yeah, whatever knickknacks that don't belong on the ground. Yeah. The idea was originally to like have the right hand side for books, but it seems like I have more books than I had thought I had, so it kind of took over other part of the shelf. And each one of those are I guess individual boxes out of pine that I in the end ended up screwing together. Everything was supposed to be dovetailed and have little dovetail sliders, so the boxes all kind of like slid into each other and were kind of locked in with the dovetails. But due to time constraints, it wasn't the case, and screws had to do. And the I guess the inspiration came from shelves I've seen people have, like milk crate shelves, basically where they just have a bunch of milk crates stacked with like a plank of wood.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
the idea that I was thinking was like, when I go to move, I can just like unscrew the boxes, and then everything's kind of already packed in a box that I can then just put in the car. So I don't have to like take everything off the shelf, put them in another box.
Right, so you would have the shelf, and you just, rotate it.
So then
like
it's just
90
like
degrees,
a box.
and then you just carry the box.
That's it.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's how it came about, and it took me about a year to make it manifest. I guess to manifest it, kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, and then it's like, oh, I got a bit of free time. Well, maybe I'll do it next time. So this week I had my boss was on vacation. He and his partner have basically done a little road trip around Ontario, so I had shopped it myself, and I thought, all right, this is the week it gets done.
Man, that must feel good, getting it done after a whole year.
It does, yeah. It does. Um, well, it's weird because before I just had like two Krenov sawhorses with like rough lumber. So Krenov sawhorses are kind of thin sawhorses with like I guess a top plate and then a middle stretcher. So there's kind of like two levels to it. I had wood running across both the top and the middle section. And so for the longest time, that was my shelf, and I just put everything on there. So my floor was uncluttered, but since I put bookshelf, or what has become the bookshelf, I guess, um, basically everything else that was on the makeshift sawhorse bench or shelf is now on my floor. So I have to kind of figure something else out. So in the attempt of uncluttering my room, I've kind of made it more cluttered.
It's funny how that works out.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I am really impressed by that shelf. Like,
Thanks.
it looks nice. It's practical. It's not exactly what you had in mind because you screwed it together, but
Right.
now you've done it once, and if you want to do it again, you know how long it'll take, how much effort, and plus you can add the dovetails
Well,
next
that
time.
yeah. Well, even on these, if ever I decided to, it's just a matter of like, because I would probably road out a channel and then glue in a piece of hardwood so that the dovetail sliders are hardwood, so that because they'd be moving, excuse me, they would be, I don't know, having to deal with friction of moving. There's more wear and tear, I guess. So it's always something I
Oh,
could kind of do retroactively. But I don't know.
man,
As
that's
as a friend, oh, excuse me, as a friend told me, there's a reason why they invented screws. I think the dovetail idea may not have been totally practical, because if it starts to warp, or like any of the wood starts to warp and things don't quite line up, then it's basically I'd be fighting against the dovetails to get it all to fit, whereas the screws just pull it right together.
oh, okay. And then you can always just unscrew it when you want to move
Yeah,
or
yeah,
move the shelves anywhere.
yeah. It's just four screws on the bottom, and I guess the four on the sides where the two shelves kind of meet, like the offset shelf butts up against the other. Oh my god, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, the morning phlegm, it's still coming up.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah. Let me show you something I got recently. I actually bought a milk crate. Actually, I didn't buy it, but I got it as a gift. But so I got it to hold my records.
mm,
So I got a plastic one and a wooden one. And the plastic one it just didn't fit. So that was really sad. But I have this,
oh, sweet. Nice.
and then the cool thing is it's got a chalkboard here.
Sick.
So I need to find a piece of chalk and then just write, what is it? That vinyl, bro, on there.
Oh man, that's nice. Yeah, it's a nice
And
stain,
then
and I don't know
I'll
what finish
just,
they used, but it gives it like that gloss.
this one actually fits.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know what stain it is either. Is there a way to tell?
Um, I don't I don't know about the stain, but the finish, like maybe. Well, yeah, there's ways of, for sure, like you can differentiate different finishes, but I don't know enough really.
Okay.
I'm sure someone could wax something and I'd be like, oh, a nice lacquer finish, man, and they'd be like, what? I waxed it.
Yeah, it looks nice. So
That's sweet.
pretty happy about
Yeah.
that.
Awesome. You have a big record collection?
No, I just have
No.
I have I have five, and one of them is a gift.
Nice.
So it's a surprise gift. Um, I'll just show you anyway, because then I'll find out if my friend actually watches these podcasts or not. So this is the gift. It's just a white
Okay.
cover.
Nice.
Kind of hard to see, but
Mm.
anyway,
Oh
it's
wait, is there a little like writing in the, okay, yeah, continuum, or?
yeah, it's a John Mayer album.
Oh, okay, okay. Sweet.
So yeah, he just mentioned one day a few months ago that he wants to get this record, specifically the white one. So I got it for him, and he was He was asking. He was trying to guess what record it was,
Mm.
but he was guessing that I got him "The College Dropout" by Kanye West. So
Surprise!
he's gonna be both disappointed and happy at the same time.
Oh, that's funny.
Uh,
I've seen
but
you've also got some new earbuds. You're not wearing the
oh yeah, these are the Samsung Galaxy Buds. I guess you can't really see it. Yeah, they're wireless, and I just got them from my dad because he got a new pair. So usually, whenever we chat, these are out of batteries. So this time, I got a chance to charge them.
Nice. Yeah, I guess that's the thing with this wireless stuff. If you got to charge them up, I run into that every now and again. I've got at the shop. I have 3M. They're called Work Tune, so they're basically ear protection. They have Bluetooth, or Bluetooth compatible speakers, like in the so I can listen to music from my phone and stuff like that. Which I think, in a sense, kind of defeats the purpose of the sound protection, because there are times where like all the machines are on and I have to turn the music up just a bit, and then when I turn like all the machines are off, I can like hear the music kind of bleed out. Like if I take the hearing protection off, I can hear the music kind of bleed out. So
Right.
probably deafening myself with music.
Yeah, that's weird that it works as both ear protection and headphones, because
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that a problem if you're tuning everyone else out in the shop?
Well, it's just me and my boss, so it's not like, I don't know. It's
Oh,
it's not it's not like a 20-person shop where there's all these different parts moving around. And then I think that between the two of us, we're pretty aware and conscious of our surroundings. So it hasn't
okay.
hasn't been a problem yet. Uh,
Well, that's
the
good.
only problem that I do find is if I decide to listen to a podcast or something and I just get distracted and I start taking longer than I should doing something because I'm thinking about what the people are talking about instead of my work. but I haven't done that for a
Yeah,
while because
yeah. I find if I'm listening to music while working, it's best to listen to old stuff because
mm,
you already know what's coming and you won't get distracted by interesting
yeah,
new things.
right. Yeah. Although, so there are a few songs that makes me want to bust out and in a dance, and I just have to refrain from.
So, what is the top make you move song?
I don't know. I can't say that there's a top. I guess. Um, a lot of the time, it's just whatever resonates with me at the time. Um, like I'll go through phases. I think I was talking a bit about this last time with classical music, where if I'm feeling down, like I almost like listen to classical music or
Mm,
20th century contemporary composers or choral music or something like that. But right now, I've been hooked on this album by Czech DJ, producer, clarinetist Thomas Dvorak. He goes by
okay.
the name Floex, and he
Okay.
did an album with this guy. I don't know much about him, but a guy named Tom Hodge. The album's
Huh.
called a Portrait of John Doe, and
Oh,
it's got like they play with the Prague. Is it I think it's the Prague Radio Orchestra. Um, but I mean, it's not the entire orchestra. I'm sure it's just like a number of members from the orchestra. But there's
mhm.
like orchestral components and electronic, and yeah, a lot of textures. Really great. There's a song called "Machines Are Dancing," and I've like listened to that probably all week.
Oh, is this like you listen to this at work?
Well, I guess this past week when I was working on the shelf, I was listening to it pretty much over and over and over again
Right. So
in the
it
car.
gets you in that mood.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's just even if I'm driving, like there's just something about it
Okay.
really like. I'll probably have exhausted it in another few days, but right
Oh
now
yeah.
it's still on
Yeah, isn't
repeat.
that it's cool how certain albums have like a certain feel in your life.
Mm,
So whenever I listen to the Black Keys album, I forget what it's called. It's one of the early ones. Has the songs Hard Row on them. Has the song Hard Row.
okay.
Uh, anyway, it's one of their albums, but I'll listen to it and it takes me back immediately to grade 11.
Mm.
So what happened was a friend of mine gave me a CD back when that was a thing. And I took it home and I ripped the CD and imported the songs into my iTunes, and I
Mm,
was listening to it, and it starts off as an instrumental, the whole album, and then
mm.
all of a sudden this dude starts mumbling. So that's what I remember. I was just surprised. I was like, "Oh wow, this is a dope instrumental album." And then a guy starts singing, and since then I've just I listen to the Black Keys every now and then.
Yeah, yeah, I do that. It's like it's weird. It's I guess like over the years, yeah, I've kind of accumulated stuff I like, and I'll go through phases where I don't really explore any new music, and I just kind of listen to the old, I guess, classics of my life, so to speak. Um,
Yeah,
but then every now and again, and especially since I've gotten Spotify subscription for that, I've been able to just find a lot of newer music or artists who are kind of doing stuff right now.
right.
So yeah, what else? Yeah, a guy named Thundercat came across him. He's really great. He's
Yeah,
a
I think I've
bassist.
yeah, I think I've heard him. I don't listen to him regularly, but I know that when I did listen to his stuff, it was so wacky, and he was playing like a two-neck bass or something in some of his videos.
That
I
wouldn't
don't,
surprise me. He does seem to have that kind of wacky persona, or just
yeah,
really
I don't
playful.
know if that's correct, but that's what I remember. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, he.
um,
I looked him up briefly on Wikipedia, and I think he used to be a bassist for like a street punk band called Suicidal Tendencies, and they were. I don't know if you've ever played the first Tony Hawk Pro Skater game on Nintendo 64.
no,
Uh,
I've played Tony Hawk's Underground.
oh, okay. Yeah, this was like their very first Tony Hawk game, but they had a song on that soundtrack. Um, but
Oh,
it's just
okay,
funny because he was in this like hardcore punk band, and then is now playing kind of like I don't really know how to describe it, like a mix between. It's not even really hip hop. It's almost like funk hip hop. Um,
it's a bit
there's some
jazzy,
yeah, like
blues. Yeah,
elements of like electronic dance music almost. Well,
mm,
maybe not that, but it's just like a very different sound. Um, and he sings a lot too, and
yeah,
I never would have put the two together. I guess that's how
man.
things develop.
Yeah. Do you have records?
Not me personally. My parents do, and growing up, my dad had a huge like chest full of records that
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Always smelt of
Um,
mothballs.
oh, really?
Yeah, I guess the chest had at one point stored clothes or something, so I guess they had
Oh,
put mothballs in the chest, and it probably the smell just absorbed into the wood or had
yeah.
a
The
musty
smell of
kind of smell.
mothballs. Smell of mothballs reminds me of my childhood for some reason, because I was around it a lot. But
Right.
I don't think I've smelled mothballs for years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't mind it myself. Supposedly it's not good for you, but I'm not exposed to it enough to really care, I guess.
Yeah, but I also like that hit of the smell of gasoline every now and then.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
go
that's
out looking for it, but if I'm at the gas station and I smell it, it's like,
just
mm.
find it in a paper bag there and you're like, "Oh yeah, there it is."
Now I can start my day.
Now we can start. Uh, but yeah, no, I don't know. When I lived in Toronto, I think it was about the time that there was the record revival. All these like used CD shops were starting to sell used records again. Um, it seemed to be a pretty big craze amongst the hipsters. Oh, weird. Um, but yeah, I never really got into it. I think at that point, I found it just more convenient to download stuff, or
Yeah,
or just how like yeah, basically burn stuff like a CD onto the computer and transfer it to a digital device.
there's something nice about the fact that it's so big.
Mm,
Like you need two hands to hold it nice.
yeah. Well,
So
and
it feels like it feels like you own something. Whereas if
mm,
you pay for a download, I mean, it's
yeah,
just a different
yeah,
feeling.
for sure. And the album cover, like the album art, I remember that was a big thing that growing up, I think it was on CBC. There was some discussion at some point in an interview. They were talking about album art and how when it went from the, I guess, vinyl to tapes, like the album art kind of diminished, and then when it went to CDs, it wasn't quite the same. But you had a little booklet you could leaf through, so some bands got creative with that. But I think that was
Yeah,
a big thing, having like a big kind of square vinyl record sleeve that you could have cool
yeah, I
art
know
on.
it's crazy. It's like yeah, you're gonna need two hands to hold it. I don't actually know how to hold records. Like, is it like a CD or you just kind of
Yeah, it looks like you're. Yeah, it's pretty good.
like it's cool when it plays music and you can just use it as a frisbee. It's
But actually,
multi-purpose.
if you catch the wind just right, you can hear every single song being played at once in the wind. So
That's next level skill, man.
that would be a cool. There are these weird sculptures. I can't. I think it's in Wales. There's some rocky climate, and it's up on like the top of a mount, not like a mountain, but just a big hill. And there's just a series of tubes kind of pointing in every which way. I guess it's a really windy area, so as the wind kind of blows, it resonates with the tubes and it creates this eerie kind of. I guess they have a really eerie sound, but I've always liked
Mm,
that idea. So having something like that where you can a frisbee or something you can throw it and it just like spins in the air and then
makes
well,
sense.
does not necessarily a song, but I'm sure you could make one where it harmonizes. It's like
Yeah.
if you make a good throw, it plays like a major chord, like "Ah," and then if you give it a bad throw, it plays a minor chord, and it's just all sad.
Man, you just made a great idea for an anime. Just like a music performance where you throw stuff.
Yes.
and then you battle with music, and then you
Mm.
know the main character is an underdog, and then everyone's using vinyl throwing discs to make their sound, and then the
Yes.
underdog is just like, "Bro, I got that new plastic." It's like, "What?" Yeah, bro. It's and then he just kills it.
Just blows everyone's mind. They're like, "How could he have done this?" Oh, a feat of legends.
That's classic shonen anime.
Yeah. Oh, there's a when you mention anime and music, there's an album by a guy, Sturgill Simpson, I think.
Bro,
Called
that
have you seen
like
it?
music video album, yeah, it's
Like
so trippy.
Music of Fury or something like that.
Sound and Fury, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, it's amazing. And I love
I don't
to
know what it is, because like it was so weird. I don't even know what I experienced.
yeah, it was like really out there, but it's great. Like the animation was great. The music's great. Like it's a very satisfying experience. Thank you, Social Simpson. But
I don't even
and
know what to
also
say. Yeah,
like you know mixing country and anime, like it's possible. He did
but
it.
like it didn't even sound country. It just sounded like
No,
electronic.
yeah, but I guess he is. He, from what I understand, I've never listened to any of his other stuff, but my friend who told me about him does, and he said that he was trying to like bridge the gap between like anime fans and country fans. Or
Oh,
that's how he explained it, at least. And
whoa!
I thought it was interesting.
I never thought anime and country could overlap.
It is they are two, yeah, quite different not demographics, styles, I guess. But it is
Yeah.
interesting, like the if you think of like the Wild West and the fall of the samurai, it all kind of happened around the same time. Like the powers that be, so the samurai basically were either killed or became like wandering swordsmen, or basically had to transform, redefine themselves, I guess. And then the
Mm.
cowboys as well, when the I guess the government started to take a how do I say it? They basically government started taking over, and um, the Wild West, so to speak, was kind of diminishing. You know, the gun-toting cowboy as wasn't able to get away with what they could get away with, and
Right.
so yeah, there's I don't know, there's an interesting overlap. Um,
Well, the widespread use of guns what must have changed the whole game.
mm, oh yeah,
Like from swords versus guns. I mean, come
yeah.
on.
Well, that's it. You know, they brought. I remember. Anyway, it was a dramatization, but in this film they had like a Gatling gun that they bought from like the Germans or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, like like you can charge as many men as you want with swords at it, and unless it runs out of bullets, there.
Yeah.
But I guess that was part of the battle was like even in today's climate or political climate, you get this where people have a certain ideal and they try to push it based on honor, or like this is the right thing to do, and so the samurai were very bound to this code of honor. And I
Hmm.
guess the powers at the time were like, yeah, whatever, like we don't need that anymore. We can just wield guns, and honor doesn't mean much, or as much as it used to. Or
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. And then in today's age, we just like romanticize it so much.
I know that's so
Like,
weird that like you have action movies where people die regularly and it's just
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of messed up. Or it's like, oh, the samurai, like they were these awesome warriors and had like all this honor, code of ethics, and were like philosophers in their own rights, and it's like,
Yeah.
and they also like sliced the jugulars of people wide open and chopped hands off, and like, yeah,
Well, like
there's like,
that's I mean, if you're given the task of killing someone, it comes with, a certain um how do I say this? Like you take a certain responsibility
mm,
when you take the life of someone. So if you're a samurai and you're just killing people left and right, I mean, I'm sure it'll affect some people in a way that they have to be responsible. They have to be ethical with their killing.
mm,
As weird as that sounds,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that applies even nowadays for anyone who's a warrior, like if you're in the military, or I
yeah,
mean, that's the modern, army.
right. Well, that's yeah. I guess that's it. Like for me, I've always struggled with um, the idea of um, how do I put this? Like using strength to or or dominance to for the purpose of justice. Um, so it's like if an army goes into an area to as peacekeepers or um, um, damn, I don't know how to say this properly.
Or just talk it out.
Yeah, so okay, um, I've struggled with the it I don't know where like you would draw the line, I guess. Um, so I hear a lot of people say like, oh well, the modern militaries are there to protect people and they're there
Mm.
to help those in need. But then on it's like sure, and I'm sure a lot of people who join the military also go in and come out with those ideals. But at the end of the day, there's the power hierarchy and the powers that are invested in the military. It's like what are their ends? What are their so it's like are you actually fighting to protect people, or in the end, are you basically is that kind of a way of justifying actually working for people who have ulterior motives? Um,
Right.
so
Well,
I don't know
yeah.
I've struggled with it. I don't. Yeah, sorry, can go on.
Yeah. So the thing is, first of all, if you're a human or a living being, like an animal or whatever, you have you have in you to be a savage.
Mm,
Like because we're alive today. We are alive today because people have, our ancestors survived for thousands and millions of years,
mm,
and to survive means, a lot of other people have died.
mm,
So I'm just assuming there must have, like, I'm assuming if I'm alive, my ancestors must have fought in some way, because
mm,
like I don't see any other way around it. So what I'm saying is, humans have the ability to be savage and, to kill and do all these things. Just so some people, it shows up more, and like it's harder to control, or you need to get that savagery out of the way.
mm,
So i- if you accept that, these tendencies will exist in everyone, and then some people have more of these tendencies, they need a way to channel it. And war or military life or army life may be the way to do that. I don't know much about the military or the army,
Yeah,
but
me
you
neither.
know what, they fight. They're
Yeah.
basically putting their life on the line when they're
Mhm.
going into combat, and when they're not in combat, they're training to be in that situation. At least the
Right,
people who
right.
are on the front lines.
Mhm.
So I think it's just part of human nature. Like conquering is part of it, and
Yeah,
fighting. So there's an army or like a military uh, built around that, and the
right.
powers that be that uh, fund the military or have influence in a democratic society where you make money. Like, you're obviously doing that to make a profit.
Mm.
I don't know if there exist non-profit military entities, right?
There
So,
should be.
but like what I'm saying is, people will profit from war, but it's also something it's always a possibility. Like it's always going to be there. So
Sure, sure.
you need to defend yourself. Otherwise, someone's going to conquer you.
Right. I guess so. I don't know. I just feel like there's I feel like it's a shortcut of some kind. Like I don't know. Like maybe yeah, throughout the ages that was what made sense and that was what was accepted, but I think today's day and age it's I don't know, I almost don't think there's any excuse like, you know, there's enough resources to educate people and to I don't know, I mean, I think that's part of the issue too is the education system isn't really geared towards teaching people how to learn about themselves or but yeah, I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'm probably just spewing ideals too now and one of those easier said than done kind of situations, but um yeah, I have a hard time seeing the justification, I guess.
Hmm.
Mm.
Right.
I mean,
Well.
in extreme situations, yes, I can understand like, if there's like a dictator in a country that is basically wreaking havoc on its population, then like yeah, it's it's got to be stopped. But how many times have foreign interests put a dictator in place because they've made a deal for resources or something, and then 10 years later turn around and say, "Oh, that guy's a terrorist." It's like, well, you guys funded his. So, like, I don't know. I guess that's why a lot of, yeah, a lot of, yeah, I just have an issue with it, I guess. I don't
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you obviously don't have a tendency to want to hurt people. So
know. No,
that's that's likely colored your view of the world. I
yeah,
mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. Like that's just like, even I don't have that tendency where I'm trying to go out and get into a fight or
yeah,
conquer stuff. But I think, yeah, people are like these days. Like I'm so far removed right now from like uh, a war-like situation
yeah,
that it's like I don't really know what it's like.
yeah,
So
yeah. Me too.
uh,
Like,
I know intellectually, like it's you want to avoid it because it'll have insane consequences all across the board.
mhm.
But I also know that it's like the army is going to be there because like what country does not have an army?
Sure, and I think to have one just. yeah, for the purpose of like protecting one's own borders, kind of keeping the peace within, and like, okay, that makes sense, but to kind of uh, I don't know, get involved in external conflicts for political purposes, I don't think is, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like I'm treading on thin ice, though. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Uh,
I mean, it's cool that you want to explore that idea. See, like, is it justified? When is it justified? You know, when should we get involved in other nations' interests and when is it in our interest, even though it's not going to be good for
mm,
the other party, the other nation.
mm,
But I think these are all great questions. For me personally, I don't really go too far deep into them because I know that I'm so far removed from it that
mm.
anything I come up with will be purely intellectual and not based in my experience.
That's true. Yeah.
So the way I approach it is if I meet someone in the military, I like to talk to them
Mm,
and find out what is it like. Like I think that's one way that's one way I tend to develop my ideas is
right. Right.
or not ideas. That's one way I try to stay grounded in my experience rather than, you know, stuff that I know is going on but that I'm not directly involved in.
Right.
Um I'm not saying that's the best way to do it. That's what
Well,
works
no,
for me.
I think that is, yeah, because I mean, you're basically, it's like getting a primary source versus like something that has been imagined, so to speak. Like, oh well,
Yeah.
this situation, this is what must have happened, as opposed to talking to someone who's actually in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of too my thoughts kind of came like my grandpa on my mom's side fought in the Second World War,
Um,
like lost all his family, and my grandma too. They basically moved to Canada after the war with nothing, and he was
wow.
like a massive alcoholic, like super abusive, just like a wreck. Always kind of like stuck in this like nostalgic, like, oh, my life isn't supposed to be here, like I should have, because he came
Mm.
from an aristocratic family, so like he was really well off, to lost it all. So basically, at the time they didn't have the name for it, but now it's known. They had PTSD for sure,
Mm.
but yeah. So it's just like the generational traumas, um, like that's a real thing, and a lot of my hangups came from my parents who had hangups from their parents who experienced these
Okay.
atrocities. So um, yeah, it's not something and so like when I just kind of, I don't know, when you see like a bumper sticker that's like support the troops, I'm kind of like, yeah, but like what kind of support are you giving them?
Right, right, right.
Like there's, I have a hard time with that because is it for some like egoistic kind of glory, or is it, like, what's the intention? And
Mm. Yeah, that's a whole different story. Yeah. Like you have family that you know and did you like you you met your grandpa like you were
oh no, he
oh
died
no?
a year
Oh.
before I was born, so
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well,
I never knew him, but only through stories and whatnot, but just the
but
way.
yeah, like if it's in your family, yeah, I don't even know how that affects a person because you have a direct link to war. So yeah,
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
it is like, I don't know, the thought pops into my head every now and then. It's like I'm kind of, well, I guess my mom more so, but like I'm a product of the Second World War. Like
Oh yeah,
you
it's
like
crazy.
it's a, yeah, it is like, I don't know, feels like there's a lot of responsibility there,
Mm,
and so the whole lest we forget. Like, yeah, I think that's a real
yeah,
thing. You know,
for sure.
um,
Well, like, I mean, how about what about this? Like, yeah, yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to say this, which is, countries go into war,
Mhm.
and the reasons they go into it can be questionable.
Mhm.
But once you're in it, um, then there's a certain like duty to your country or whoever you're fighting for.
I
Yeah,
suppose. I mean,
yeah. I don't like.
uh,
Yeah, okay. I don't know
like
how to. Yeah.
I, I see what you mean. It's like, yeah, once it's in it, you gotta kind of do like not make the best of it, but like kind of do what's right in that moment. Like even though the reasons that for it starting could have been out of your control, and
Hmm.
um, but I think at every moment there, like again, it comes down to the recognition of choice and what choices you make at any given time. Um, and obviously, it is in those situations where like the stress and pressure are really high. Like it's much more easy to make a choice that might not be the best. That like in retrospect, you look back and like, oh, why did I do that? Like it's because all the adrenaline, all the stress, like it's tunnel vision or however. Like someone pops around a corner and whoa,
Mm.
like um, so
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
it's yeah, it's but I don't know.
imagine imagine being the person or a group of people that make that decision. It's like, all right, we're going to war. That's insane that you
Yeah,
have like a group of people that make a decision that will affect millions of other people.
yeah.
But the counterpoint is, can you really get a say from millions of people?
Well, that might be an issue of the kind of political social situation or system.
Hmm. Exactly.
Like I'm sure, especially with the technology today, there could definitely be much more like democratic uh, processes where if there is an issue that is that big, then it goes to the public vote or something like that,
Oh yeah,
and
because
and you
like
get,
you mean like vote online or something?
yeah, something like that. I mean, everyone has their own. Not everyone, I guess, but a lot of people have access to the internet. A lot of their personal stuff's online. Like there should be a way of being able to set up like an online voting system that you can log into and then vote on a given topic. And
Mm.
not to overwhelm people, there's only like maybe a handful, or it's only used if there's like a really huge issue that like a national wide issue that needs to be addressed, and so
Right.
kind of like a referendum of sorts, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's possible, but it's, I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I never thought about it. I wonder if it's been done.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised actually that voting hasn't just gone online already. Like,
Well,
feel like that would
because
have been.
there's, from what I hear in the stories in the news, that there's, countries are messing with each other's, online situation all the time.
Mm,
I mean, you hear about, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing most, if not all, countries are doing some form of it.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
but I don't know enough to substantiate that claim. So that's
right.
just like I'm just pulling that out of thin air.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised, like modern espionage,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I guess it would have to be like extremely secure somehow, or else it would be a mess, and it would probably be a pretty big target too, or for people to try and hack. So maybe that's why they don't do it.
Well, like there are secure ways to do it. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, I can't think of a specific example, but um, like it would take an enormous amount of money and effort to make
But
everything secure. That's my guess.
mm,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, it would be quite the investment, that's for sure. I don't know. I think it would be worth it though, but
Mm. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like,
at least if we want to call ourselves a democracy. Oh God.
well, it's weird because we're in a democracy. We get a vote, so we can have a vote in, you know,
Yeah, one vote.
we, yeah, we have one vote, but in that one vote, you have to consider everything. That is so weird. Like,
It's honestly, I don't believe we are in a true democracy. I think it's smoke and mirrors, man. Like,
okay,
in the sense that sure we have that process to elect the government, but um, I just think there's way too many people to have it like to have it kind of true to what a democracy is supposed to be. Um, so there's so many different opinions, so many different lifestyles, so many different ideals that are all trying to like the government's trying to figure all that out. And so when it comes
hmm
time for an election, they're making all sorts of promises. They're, oh yeah, we'll make this law, we'll pass that. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's mostly just to make people feel like they have some part in the system or process. But I mean, I think really we're in more of a kind of feudalistic oligarchy where people who have money own land, and then most of the population works for those people who work the land, aka working in factories or businesses or corporations or so yeah. Well, and corporations too, yeah. So they're kind of like the barons or the what's it called? I don't know, the landowners who you kind of pay your allegiance to, and
mm.
um, I don't know, man.
So, well, like, what would be an example of a true democracy or something close to what would be a true democracy?
Um,
Like
I
a
guess
country that you can think of, or
oh, I don't know. I don't. I honestly, I like honestly, I don't even. I'd have to look up, a bunch of people's definitions of. To have to do research
mm,
on like what would could be considered a true democracy. Um, but I don't know if it's ever been achieved. Because it's again, it's an idea. it's a
Yeah.
system someone came up with. It's like based on an ideal of some kind, um, and even as in the past, it's been flawed in that you know it 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 gave citizens the right to vote, but citizens were like male landowner, like so it basically cut a whole
Mm.
chunk of the population out based on
Right.
certain criteria, and so it's not really a democracy. But and I guess like ideally we are closer to that now, but I just feel like a lot of decisions that are made are they're made with economic. Uh, yeah, it's not necessarily doing what's. I don't know. I'm all over the place
Yeah. It's
now. But
complicated, man. Like,
it
you
is.
know, I have the easy part. I'm just asking you questions.
Yeah, and I'm I'm spewing whatever's coming off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, we can agree it's complicated and we don't have all the answers. We're just
Yeah,
trying to talk it out and figure out, you know, what
yeah,
is a democracy? How do you get there? What's right? What's wrong? So these are all uh, questions that don't have a clear cut answer.
yeah.
And just in the process of discussing it, we're gonna say things that are either wrong or not well thought out
Mm,
because this is not a presentation. We're just having a
right.
conversation.
All right, thanks, man. That that helps.
I
Yes.
saved you there.
Okay. um. Okay. Yeah. So I guess like I don't know. A true democracy, I feel would. Well, I have an issue with the. Uh, well, an issue I guess that comes to mind is the idea of electing someone who represents the voters. So the decisions that are made amongst a group of people who have been elected by a much larger group of people,
Mhm.
and that one person, especially these days, I think rarely do the people represent the constituent or the
Right.
constituency or the voting group that has voted them in. So I think to have a truer democracy would each issue that is going to each bill that gets passed um, each bill that gets passed, like decisions made in government, would be put to a wider vote.
Right,
If you
but
wanted to have a true democracy, like
right, but I mean, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to vote on
yeah, I guess.
everything. I just want to find someone
uh,
to be like, yeah, that guy seems to know what he's doing, or that woman seems pretty smart.
right.
Like you know what I mean? Like not everyone's gonna. Everyone had like people work and stuff, so
Yeah, that's true. That
you
it's
can't vote on every single thing if you're not a parliamentarian.
sure, or at least given the opportunity, or because then maybe that's part of the democracy is that you chose to abstain or to stay out of it.
Right. That is
Um,
true.
so instead of being kind of at the whim of a handful of politicians who may or may not have your interest at heart, the votes put out to the general public but that's also, doesn't necessarily, because then you get people who might not know what they're voting on things uh, yeah. So it's, yeah, there would be complications there as well. But at least in terms of like, I don't know, a true democracy would be closer to that, I guess. But again, I'd have to read more about it because I'm basing this off very like surface level idea of or
Mhm.
understanding of what it is and where it came from, and I'm sure there's many theories over the years that have been like whatever political science stuff.
Mhm.
Anyways, it's
Yeah,
exhausting to think about.
I hear you. Oh, well, we
Um,
got what we got.
yeah,
Make the
yeah,
best use of it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, you know,
No, it's not awful, but
yeah.
like I'm not saying like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Like, let's start a revolution.
Like,
uh, but it's
life's pretty good. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I have food, I have water, I have shelter,
Hmm.
I have
Friends and family.
family, friends. You got the basics, and then you just build yourself up from there.
Hmm.
And you got to be grateful for those things.
Hmm.
Um, of course, not everybody has the basics. So
Yeah, yeah,
the yeah, like here in London, you see, I see people at intersections with like cans, or they're holding something and walking back and forth at the left turn lane.
mm,
Every now and then, someone will give them some change or a $5 bill.
mm,
So those are real situations,
yeah,
and that's something that I see and I have an experience with directly.
yeah.
Those are the things that I remember. Um, so what can I do for that? That's a question that I've thought about a lot, and you know, it sucks now because of the Corona times. Because even if you want to volunteer, you can't really.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if that's true. I just haven't looked into it because I'm assuming that's not a good idea if there's a virus going around.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It does make it difficult. Yeah, it is good. It's just a weird time because it's like people are kind of most vulnerable now and in need of help, but then it's like the services just aren't there to help them. Like
Yeah.
there's a friend in town who's been having some difficulties with drinking and whatnot. And he's basically said like he couldn't go to his like counseling meetings. He couldn't go to his like the support groups,
Mm.
and so he ended up relapsing.
Oh, dude, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah. But he said he's going back again in a few weeks. So,
Mm.
but it's yeah, it's hard. I think a lot of the support that's needed isn't there.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
sorry. It's
It's part of it, life. You have to enjoy life, but you have to find a way to give back, because I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like, it's not necessarily a duty, but if you make that part of your routine where you're doing something for others without the intent to benefit yourself, like economically, let's say. Basically, if you volunteer, is what I'm saying. If you volunteer for something, I don't know. There's just something about doing something not for money and then helping people that adds value, um, to for me personally.
yeah, for
And
sure.
that's why I did some volunteering at the table in Perth.
Right, right. Yeah,
So I don't know, if it's part of your routine, then it's like, you live your life mostly for you and your friends and family, but you put a little time away for others.
yeah,
And, it's becomes more like, there's just more of life if
mm,
you're doing that, in my opinion.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. A friend of mine, we've been talking about doing more volunteer stuff. because it's something growing up I never did. I think volunteering at the table, there's only a handful of times, but it's kind of the first thing I'd ever done. We decided to give blood. I guess a couple weekends back now.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was something I think I'll go back and do again. Like my friend, one of my friends who went with, who, so they're a married couple, but and so my one friend Jamie, he was doing the math, and he he had asked one of the workers there how much blood it takes for a surgery. She said something like for like a completely open like an open surgery where they basically have to constantly feed you blood because you're just kind of like bleeding out as they're doing surgery. Um, it was 24, uh, 24 quarts, or I don't know, whatever those little bags are that you donate 24 of those, and you're only supposed to donate blood. I can't remember how many days, 50 days in between, or I think basically in a year you can only donate like 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
And so I don't know, basically he came to the conclusion that it would take about um, I don't know, anywhere between 4 to 6 years to donate enough blood for one surgery.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay, so that
For like a
means
major surgery, that is.
like if you donate blood once a year, you need 24 people for one surgery.
Yeah, something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like no wonder they're the blood service donation services are in such dire need because
Hmm. Yeah, and that's another great way to give. You're literally giving your blood to another life.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I've never done it. There's just something about giving blood that's I don't know. I don't know, just like getting a needle stuck in your arm and they're just like taking blood out of you.
it was a really weird sensation. I was sitting there, and the one lady said, "All right, if you start to feel like nauseous at all, like don't try to fight it. It only gets worse if you start to get like cold, or basically they have to take it out right away if you start to feel any kind of discomfort whatsoever."
Oh,
So I'm
so you
sitting
have
there.
to tell them like, okay, you got to stop
Yeah,
now.
yeah, and I
Okay.
think that they have people kind of looking over, and like my other friend who was donating, she started to kind of pass out a bit, and they're like, "All right, yep, you're done." Like,
Wow.
she hadn't said anything, but they could just tell. Like, and my I was told that like my lips were like the same color as the rest of my skin, like just completely white. But I could
Yours?
yeah, like I could feel, because that's the thing. I didn't really prepare myself properly. I was told after that you're supposed to have like a big meal the night before, have basically have
Whoa.
your blood sugar levels up, drink a lot of water, and I didn't really do any of those. So, anyways, I put the needle in. They're taking blood, and I can feel my feet get a bit cold, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And then I
Oh
started to
man.
get like super nauseous, and I was like, "Oh my god, is this what it's like to bleed out?" Like,
Did you tell them? Did they
oh yeah,
stop?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like,
Okay.
"Excuse me, I'm starting to feel nauseous," and they're like, "Okay, yeah." And they came over and just took everything
Damn.
out. I had to lay there for about 5 minutes, just until like they kind of tilted the seat back so my head was down, my feet
Okay.
were up in the air. Um, but yeah, I was fine after that. Like, I felt a bit light, I guess, afterwards. Like once
Mm.
like the nausea kind of disappeared. Uh, I just went back to my friend's house. And we had coffee and chatted. The rest of the
That's
day was
cool.
good. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Thanks again for doing this, Kiefer.
Oh, thank
And I
you.
got to
Actually,
get going.
okay.
So, yeah.
We'll see you next time.